All right. All right, you guys. So welcome everybody. It's been a while since I have done one of these. So the I'm working with a group of coaches that are all pushing for Diamond and Star Diamond and Elite and Premier. And one of the coaches that I have been talking a lot about, and I always tell them to follow, is Morgan. And I wanted to open up this call to everyone because I fell in love with watching Morgan and how she grows this business because I feel like there was, and I was thinking about how to describe how she builds her business, and the two words that were popping up were grace and building it with really from a principled centered place rather than just tactics. And I think that's important because a lot of times, it's funny, I was reading a book today and I feel like every good author, they'll do this. They'll say, I know what you really came here for and I know what you want, but that's not really going to get you what you want. Meaning, like a lot of times we want to know. So this book was about purchasing businesses. And the author was saying, I know you want to know, where do I go to find a business that I can purchase? And there was about that much of the book about that. And then the rest of the book was about the mindset and the approach that you need to take to coming and purchasing a business. And Morgan's going to talk about moving from a level 1 to a level 2 coach today. But so she, and what we're all here for in human nature is we're gonna kind of grasp onto the tactics. Tell me what it is that I need to do. And the reason, so Morgan and I first met when she had reached out to me to do a team call for her team. And we had the same philosophy on building businesses and building this Beachbody business. And it's really about supporting ourselves first and showing up and being the best version of ourselves, and then helping other people to become the best version of themselves. And that's really what this business comes down to. And if you watch Morgan on social media, if you ever get a chance to talk with her, she has this grace that she moves about this business, and people aren't attracted to her because she has the best marketing tactics and she knows these secret Instagram tips and tricks or whatever. They're attracted to, wow, whatever she has, I want. And so she does it with grace. And then she's approaching her business just like she's approaching her life, with principles. This is who I want to be. And when I show up being who I want to be, and I'm doing the Beachbody stuff, and doing my power hour, I'm running challenge groups, I'm following up, but I'm doing it from a place of not just checking stuff off a box. I'm doing it from a place of showing up as my best self and then trying to help other people become their best selves. So I'm excited for you guys to learn. Get your pen and paper out. Make sure you take notes. And just so you guys know, Morgan's kind of a secret big deal in this business. She has a massive, massive business. She's not up there getting all the accolades every single time. She is ranking advancing. She is building a big business, but she's also, how do I word this correctly? She's doing the things to get herself recognized, and she's doing the things to build long-term stability for her family. So take notes. And I guess the final thing is, don't catch the message behind the message. So catch who she shows up as today, what she's sharing, not just, oh, if you go to Instagram, you do this little quick thing, it's going to do that. I know that's what we all want. That's what we all, it's like that. It's like getting something in the mail, right? You're like, ooh, this feels good to get this. But yeah, catch the message behind everything. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna hand it over to Morgan, and I know you guys are all gonna enjoy this. So Morgan, it's all yours.
Awesome. Can you guys first just hear and see me okay?
Yep.
All right. I live in like a tiny, tiny town in Saskatchewan, Canada. So apparently we're in a remote location, so our Wi-Fi is always iffy. So Keith, just stop me if I freeze or something like that, but I should be good. So thanks for having me, you guys. I have a little like presentation. I'll flip my screen afterwards and show you. But first of all, I just wanted to start off, if it's okay with you guys, just sharing how I even got here in the first place. Whenever I'm listening to training calls and different speakers, I always like to hear their story, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to take knowledge from this person, like I kind of want to know where they're coming from. And like he said, like, what are their values? Like, how did they get into this? If I'm going to actually take them as a credible learning resource, right? So I became a coach about 8 years ago. I had just graduated from university. I was going to be a high school biology and chemistry teacher. And I come from a very traditional background. I don't know if some of you are more traditional. I was raised in a family of 4 girls. It was get good grades, go to university, get really good grades in university, and go after a job that pays decent, but has a good pension plan and good benefits. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the culture of where I live and how I was raised. So that's what I did. So after university, I had to move back in with my parents because myself and my boyfriend didn't have enough money to afford our own house at the time. So he was living with his parents and I moved back in with mine. And I took my first full-time teaching position. And at that time, I was into health and fitness. Well, that's not the nutrition side of things. Like I thought I was eating healthy, but I lacked knowledge in that area. But I was working out. I went to the gym every day for at least an hour a day, 6 days a week. I loved it. It was my hobby. So when I came home, I'm like, okay, Morgs, you're probably not going to have time to, I'm just going to mute the chat here so I don't get distracted a little bit, but you're not going to have time to go to the gym. You're a new teacher. And let's just be honest, there's probably not going to be time for that. So what I did was I'm like, hey, Morgs, you used to do these at-home workouts from Beachbody, because my older sister ordered Turbo Jam. I don't know if anybody has the Turbo Jam DVDs. I still have them under my stairs in storage. She ordered them when I was like in grade 8. And I saw her doing them all throughout high school. And sometimes when she wasn't home, I'd pop in the DVD and like do the Chalene Johnson workouts. Not because I was like I wanted to like lose weight or anything like that. I just seen her doing them and they looked like a lot of fun. So I did them on and off, but I decided, hey, you won't have time for the gym at this point in your life. Why don't you order a new workout program DVD and actually do it from start to finish? Because I had never done that before. So I went online, and at the time, like I said, it was just DVDs. I decided to order Body Beast. I was really into lifting weights at the time. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to stay on track as a new teacher. I'm going to have this calendar and complete it start to finish. So I ordered the DVDs, and this is how I became a coach, you guys, because I didn't really use social media, nothing like that. Knew nobody who was a coach, nothing at all. I was ordering the DVDs and I ordered them. And then I seen a little tab at the top that said, become a coach. I'm like, what is this business? I've known Beachbody for how long? Like, what's a coach? So I quickly read up on it and I told Stephen about it. We're not married yet, but I'll call him my husband. We've been together for 15 years. I'm like, hey, did you know Beachbody has these things called coaches? He's like, no, but you should sign up. You'd probably be good at it. And I'm like, I don't know, because I am a terrible decision maker. I hate anything out of the normal, don't like it. So I didn't sign up, and a week went by and I didn't stop talking about it. And he's fine. Thankfully, he's finally like, Morgs, if you do not sign up, like, I'm just going to sign you up so you stop talking about this. Bless his soul. Thank you. So I decided to sign up. After I signed up, I learned about Shakeology. So then I ordered that. So I signed up paying the maximum amount you can pay because I bought the DVDs. I paid the coach sign-up fee. I got Shakeology. I didn't know a challenge pack existed. Now my coach, I didn't know anybody who was a coach. So I kind of just entered a random name because I didn't think it mattered. Thankfully, everything worked out awesome with my coach. But again, I didn't know anything. So I sent her a message saying, hey, I think I became a coach. I have no clue what I'm doing. And she said, hey, watch this tutorial video, get back to me. And I watched that video. It was just like an intro to coaching video. You've probably seen some before, you know, and I'm like, this is it. This is the thing. I knew right away in that video for some reason, I'm like, this is the thing I'm missing that I didn't even know I was missing. Because for some reason, as a teacher, I love the job, but there was always this like unnerving feeling in me, like, shoot, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, is this the kind of income I want to earn for the rest of my life? I started to develop kind of like a little anxiety because I'm like, okay, like it's even hard to book a massage. It's hard to book a doctor's appointment. Then I have to plan for a sub. Like, and then I was coaching extracurricular volleyball and just everything was starting to come up for me. And it's funny because then people would tell me more. It's like, welcome to the real world. Welcome to being an adult. Like, this is how it is. Get used to it. And unfortunately, again, that's my surrounding. But I just sat back and I'm like, there's got to be a different way. So when I watched that video and I started meeting a couple other coaches, I'm like, this is it. It lets me use my passion for wellness. It lets me use my teaching skills. I love helping other people. I didn't know social media. I didn't know literally anything, but I'm like, hey, I've got Google, I can learn. So that's how I got started. And after that, I just kind of kept learning a little bit all the time. And I've never really done this full time per se. I've only ever ran this business, you know, in an hour, maybe 2 hours a day, because I was a full-time teacher and all of that. So you can build a beautiful business, like just doing it a little bit each day. So I wanted to bring up a couple slides I wanted to show you guys. I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, I think you might have to give me permission, Keith.
You need to request it, right?
I press share screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, what did he do? So that should be under screen share. Anybody that knows optimize for video clip, share sound, advanced files.
I think if you just make her the host.
Make her a host. Where do I do that? Just click on, maybe I click on Morgan. Oh, let's see here.
Yeah, if you click the three little dots above her name.
There, I think that might work. Let's see.
Nowhere?
Yes, that
Thanks,
works.
Kelly.
All right. And if you're driving, if you can't see these slides, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to talk you through it anyways. Okay. So I covered who I am, but so the idea I've been sitting back on for probably the past 6 months is this idea of a level 1 coach and a level 2 coach. Cause I was just like I said, the past 6 months to a year, I've just been thinking, okay, what's the difference? What was the difference maker for me in these past 8 years? And what's the difference maker been for coaches I've helped? And I'm like, what is the main overarching message right now, again, that I feel is the difference maker? And I sat back and I said, you know what? It's that transition from going from a level 1 coach to a level 2 coach. And what I mean by that is, and I'll explain it, but a level 1 coach, you're talking like your coach, your emerald coach, your diamond coach, right? And then level 2 coach, you're probably talking like star diamond and beyond, which is essentially probably what most of you are having a goal to achieve, right? So when we're talking about a level 1 coach, like I said, that's like your active coach, emerald coach, diamond coach. The things these types of coaches do, which is all of us at the start, right? You've probably done some kind of foundation post to kind of lay the groundwork that, hey, like, this is what I'm doing. You've probably started inviting people to do this with you. You're probably starting to use your success system tracker, which is this thing. Now, the online office looks a little bit different now, so it might not look exactly like this, but you guys know the success system tracker, I'm sure. So you're probably doing that. You're starting to achieve Success Club and adding a couple new coaches each month. And most likely your income, all of your income, if not most of it, is coming from commission. So I just put AKA, you're doing the things. That's a level 1 coach. And essentially that's all of us, right? So then what does a level 2 coach do? So a level 2 coach is still doing their success system tracker, because that's kind of our foundation for everything. But they're also starting to share how they're actually doing these things. And I'll give you guys a few examples. They're starting to ask others, other coaches on their teams, other customers, they're starting to ask them to share how they're doing certain things. They're earning, yes, commission, but they're starting to earn team cycle bonuses, fast start bonuses, fast start plus bonuses, quarterly bonuses. So basically a level 2 coach is, yes, they're doing the things, but now they're also sharing how to do the things. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples. If you're wondering, okay, Mars, like, how on earth do I go from level 1 to level 2 this year? Again, if you can't read this, I'm going to walk you through it. So here's an example. A level 1 coach would achieve Success Club, which is awesome. That's the monthly goal, right? So a level 1 coach, boom, achieve Success Club, leave it at that. That's great. What a level 2 coach would do, they would go into their team page or a group chat, whatever you have, or maybe text a new coach or whatever it may be. They would say something like this. They'd say, hey, I just achieved Success Club 5 or 6. I helped 3 new people get started. This is how I did it. This is how I started talking to them. And this is how I helped them get started. That's the difference between just doing it versus, yes, you're doing it, but now you're sharing how you actually did it with others. Okay. So another example, a level 1 coach would sign up a new coach. That's great. That's what the goal is, right? But then a level 2 coach would, yes, they would sign up that coach, but then again, they'd go into their new coach chat or a team page, whatever it may be, and they'd be like, hey, I just helped a new coach get started. Here's how I started chatting with them, and here's how I helped them get started, and pick a challenge pack or whatever it may be. So you did the thing, but now you also got to teach and share how you did that so that other people can do it too. Let's try another one. So this is something I commonly do. So say a coach on your team becomes a success starter. Okay. So that's awesome. You shout them out, you congratulate them. Perfect. That's what a level 1 coach would do. So if I see an announcement or a post in maybe one of our team pages that, hey, Susie became a success starter, I'll congratulate her. Great. That's level 1. How I take it to level 2, in that comment, I'll say, okay, Susie, when you get a chance, you definitely have to go live in this group or make a post on how you feel you achieved this goal so that others can do it too. Okay, so that's the difference, again, between a level 1 just saying, hey, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. It's fostering them to go out and teach and share and be a level 2 coach as well. What's another one? Okay, maybe this one. A new program is about to launch. So 645 just launched. We'll have a new program this winter as well. So a level 1 coach would probably, learn about the new program, maybe plan out when their challenge group is going to be. Great. Okay. Level 1 coach, you'll probably, help a few people get started, all of that. So what a level 2 coach would do is then, again, you'd go to your team, your coaches, and say, hey, 645 is going to launch next month. Here's how I'm planning to do it. Here's why I'm putting my challenge group on this date. Here's how I'm going to invite people and reach out to people. So basically, you're still doing the thing, but then you're teaching and you're explaining how you're going to do it so that others can do it too. Okay. So basically, moving from level 1 to 2 is simply just starting to share what you're doing and encouraging others to do the same. And that's when your business really starts to grow. And Keith talks about this in his book too. Developing leaders, right? Leaders of leaders. And you really only need 5 of those, right? And he kind of explains that in his book, but you're really encouraging people to get to level 2 as well. So if you're kind of somebody that's maybe like, okay, Morgs, I don't have a team yet. I don't have a ton of like coaches yet to fully teach how I'm doing this. I see this sharing being done on social media as well. So yes, I try and be a level 2 coach behind the scenes in team pages or team group chats, whatever it may be. But I also believe level 2 comes on your social media and sharing that way too. And I'll kind of explain what I mean. And this is when my business did start to grow, when I started to do this. So what I mean by this, let's just take this team call, for example. So sometimes, we all do this, you guys, I will see a photo of everybody on Zoom and it'll just say team call time. And like, that's it. And that's great. Hey, I did it too. But as an outsider, that doesn't make sense, right? I don't know what that is. I have no clue. I don't relate to it at all as an outsider, right? So what I would do after this call, I would probably, like you said, you could take a photo of it, but even better, I would pop on my stories or make a post and I'd quickly say what I just did and why I did it. So I'm learning how to run my own online fitness business. And I just popped on a training call hosted by a Canadian coach. And I learned all about how to become a better coach and help people truly see results and live happier and healthier lives. Boom. That's what I do. Smiling, energy, etc. So that when somebody watches that story, it's more relatable to an outsider. So I'm going from a level 1 of kind of just like doing the thing. Yes, I'm on a team call versus hopping on my social media and sharing what I'm actually doing. Okay. And that's how you give people an opportunity to understand what you're doing so they could possibly join too. And I just put at the bottom here, every time you work, share what you're doing for work. So for me, sharing my workouts are easy. Often sharing, well, I don't share my food a lot because I'm just not good with food. I'm a very boring eater. But workouts are easy for me. But again, when my business started to shift was when I started sharing more of the coaching side of things. So now I encourage people, hey, just like you post your workout for the day, when you sit down to do your work for the day, post what you're doing for work too. Post your little checklist. What are you doing today? Right? Because then it's very hard for you to say, oh, I'm doing my coaching work. But again, that doesn't really make sense to an outsider, right? So it's going from, hey, just saying what I'm doing to, hey, here's why I'm doing it. Why are you doing your coach work? Right? Well, I want to build an income to help support my family so we can, have a little more freedom or whatever it may be for you. So I just put a few examples here. So level 1, you're just showing what you're doing. So again, this could be a food post. I make my oatmeal with egg whites to get more protein. So for a level 1 coach, you would probably post a photo that would just say, making my egg white oatmeal, and that's it. Okay. A level 2 coach would probably make a reel or maybe type up a little blurb on how somebody could make this as well. Hey, Here's how I make my oatmeal with egg whites and why I do it. Because in the Plate It method of the nutrition program I'm doing, it's encouraged to eat half carbohydrates, half protein for breakfast. So again, it's teaching what I'm doing. Then in the bottom right here, I just took a screenshot of one of my live videos from 6 years ago. Instagram didn't exist at the time, you guys. I used to go live on Facebook a lot, not a lot, like a decent amount. I'm not a very good typer. I'm not super good with words, to be honest. I prefer video. It's easier for me. So I would get on live and do video and just explain things I was learning from personal development. When I got home from Costco, I would show like a grocery haul. This one says, what does success mean to you? So this is probably like a little tip I got from personal development. Often I do them in my car, but video is a great way to go from level 1 to level 2. It's easier to explain things. It's easier to get your personality across, to build relationships with people. So yeah, video, hands down. Again, it's not as much Facebook Live now that we have Instagram and that kind of thing, but that's a really easy way to go from level 1 to level 2. And then just here at the end, Keith kind of mentioned this, but this is what it always comes back to me, and I'll read it if you can't see it. It says, you're dedicated, you're determined, you have the work ethic to build a business built with the utmost integrity and heart, and you'll become respected in your industry. So for me, when I became a new coach, I was just a level 1 coach. I was kind of learning the basics. I was checking off the boxes. Because that, like I said, I was just learning. And then as I developed into a level 2 coach more and more, I just kept thinking, hey, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to keep doing this, and I want to do this till I'm 80 years old, I want to build this business with the utmost integrity, the utmost heart, and I want to do it differently. And I want to be a really respected person in my industry. And does that mean I might build a little slower, or it might look a little different for me? That's okay. I might not be the top ranked coach. That's okay, because as long as this foundation is here, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to attract the right people. And it's going to be really easy to work from level 1 to level 2. And you'll feel really good about the business you're building in the meantime. So I'm just going to stop this sharing so you can actually see me now. So that's kind of what's been on my heart for the past 6 months to a year, is that difference of going from level 1 to 2. And I think sometimes it is overcomplicated, right? There's lots of different things to learn in the Beachbody world, and we do make it a little more complicated. And when you step back, it's like, wait, it's really not that complicated. Like Keith mentioned, it's taking care of ourselves, helping others take care of themselves, and then just take it one level further and just teach what you're doing, right? So it's just a matter of being aware of yourself. Okay, Morgs, I just hit Success Club. Go hop in your team page, go on live and just share how you hit Success Club. Or, okay, Morgs, you are learning the new Portion Fix videos. You just made your meal plan for the week. Awesome. Be a level 2 coach. Go into your challenge group and share how you made your meal plan for the week. Boom, done. That's the difference between that level 1 and level 2. Morgs, you were just on a team call. Okay, hop on your story quick, share why you were actually on that team call in the first place. And the more you do that, the more confidence you build in yourself and in what you're doing. And the more trust you're going to build in those people that are watching you, because they're like, oh, okay, like she's providing value for me. I understand what she's doing. And there's just a lot more substance to them checking out your page or watching you or being in your challenge group or things like that. So that's kind of what I have. I'll hand it over to you, Keith. I'm happy to answer questions or whatever you want.
I've actually never heard anyone present that training. That was awesome. That was, I have a full page here. My note, I won't show you because my handwriting's awful.
Nice.
I have a million things to say, but I could ramble on and on. I'm gonna open it up. So if anybody has questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you don't, then I have comments and questions. Really? Nobody?
I'm an open book.
All right, well, while you guys are thinking, I'm gonna make a few comments. So it's interesting. So before this call, I had no idea what Morgan was going to share in going from a level 1 to level 2 coach. But the two main principles, right, are sharing how, you know, sharing the how, sharing the what, like sharing what you're doing, and then helping others share what they're doing. So that's like, that's the principle. So there's a million different tips and tricks and tactics and sharing this and sharing that, but take that one piece, because I think that's gold. And if you want to, one of my favorite activities, I just did it today for something else. It's a Brian Tracy activity. And if you guys don't know Brian Tracy, he's just got great stuff. Just write down on the top of a piece of paper 20 ways to share how, and just brainstorm and do silly things, do the opposite of what one thing was, and just brainstorm. And you'll be amazed that now you've got 20 different things to post about sharing how. And then the same thing, asking others to share how. Put that on a tab, that, you know, 20 ways to ask others, and then just start writing things out as they pop into your mind. So I love that. I had a question too. So I think sharing what you're doing on social media is, so the way that I was taking that is you're moving from sharing to share into sharing to actually teach. And I guess the question is that, to me, I was like, that must have been when her business really took off, because and I would assume that's when you started attracting people that were not just interested in the fitness, they were interested in the fitness, and in the back of their mind, when they're coming in, they know there's a business opportunity too. Is that sort of how that played out?
Yeah. So for at least the first year in my business, it was mainly just customers for me. And because that's essentially all I shared about. I kind of had my own fitness results a little bit, and I shared that. And I reached out to my coach and I just said, like, why is my, okay, I want to grow a business now. Like, what's going on? And she's like, well, Morgs, like, that's all you share about is how to do workouts, like what kind of a challenge group is, how to do personal development. And she's like, that's great, but you're not sharing how you're actually like running your groups and how you're building a business. She's like, you need to share that side of things in order to attract the coaches. So at that year mark, I kind of shifted my not shifted it, but started to include sharing the coaching side of things just as much as the fitness side of things. And then that's when I started to actually get coaches as well.
Awesome. All right, we've got a ton more questions.
Sure.
First of all, Siobhan Little said, love this. Thank you, Morgan. Do you guys know each other, Morgan and Siobhan?
Yeah, from our push to diamond.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Because I was right when I saw that message from Siobhan, I was like, those two would get along really good. Karen says thank you. Sarah says thank you. Love this call. Love the simplicity and how it's duplicatable for everybody. This was so good. Can't wait to share with my coaches. I have the recording too, so if you want to, if your team wasn't on here, you can share with them. Okay. How is your onboarding process for brand new coaches? And do you mostly grab new coaches from your challenge groups who are already showing up with their journey?
Yeah.
From Hannah.
Great question. And this is definitely one that always comes up. For the first few years, it was mainly always from challenge groups, maybe the odd person from me sharing on social media. And then confession, the past few years, I kind of transitioned a little bit out of that, and I was trying to find coaches just straight from social media. And yes, I found some, but if I'm being honest, like it hasn't worked out phenomenal for me. So just recently, I'm kind of adjusting this, and I'm really going back to my challenge groups and making sure I help as many people as I can get results and experience it, and then hopefully transition to coaches, because that's just worked out a lot better for me, and it's easier, it's a simpler flow. And then you kind of asked, how do I help them get started? If you haven't noticed, I prefer simple. Beachbody has new coach training videos. They're actually really good. They just redid them, and I'll just make a little video to send my new coaches on how to access those. They actually get a welcome email with them too. And I'll just help them watch those, to be honest. And that's how they get started. And then after that, I can start giving them a little more info if they're achieving Success Club or if they're moving on. But I just start them off like that. And for me, we exchange numbers, and I just encourage them to ask questions, because that's how I learned the most. It wasn't from like, hey, look at all this information. That's not how it works. You need a couple videos to get started, which Beachbody has. And then I'm like, hey, message me questions as they come up. And then I could actually, because honestly, to me, the most important thing, or that helps new coaches see success, is you just believing in them. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be successful from a certain piece of information you give them. They're probably going to be successful because you poured some belief into them. So to me, that's more important than the actual resource you're giving them. And then Hannah, you just added on to that. You said, how do you breadcrumb coaching into your challenge groups? I don't necessarily breadcrumb it. I literally just message them after the month. And if they've been participating, like, well, I'll ask them if they want to become a coach. And that's it. I'm pretty straightforward with it. Yeah, if they've been participating and doing good, I'll just ask them if they want to become a coach. And sometimes it takes a few months, even a year, and some say no, but I say how much I appreciate them, and I kind of, give them some positive feedback, and then ask if they want to become a coach.
Morgan, I want to elaborate on that, like dig in a little deeper on the piece with sharing the coaching opportunity. So I agree 100%. Like, I think that 90% of helping a new coach is believing in them before they believe in themselves, and verbalizing that, just like Morgan said, like actually telling them why you think they would be good at this, because everybody's doing it in an honest way. We're all different, we're all unique. And when you see a characteristic in someone, like, just share in an honest way and do that over and over and over and over again. And when they're an emerald coach, when they're a diamond coach, when they're a star diamond, like, just keep doing that. So just reiterating what Morgan's saying. And then the question I have is, do you think that because you're actually sharing on social media what you do as a coach, and you're sharing it in a simple way, that people, even though people are coming in strictly for the challenge group to start, when you bring up the coaching, it's not this big chasm for them to cross, because they've been getting this trickle of information from you for a while?
That's exactly it. So it's really easy to ask, because you're right. I share it on my social media, and because I know most likely my customers are watching my stories, that's probably how they got to know me in the first place. So that's kind of where they're getting the peek into the daily life and into how coaching works, and how it's kind of neat, because they're in my challenge group, and then they're seeing how I actually run it behind the scenes. And then sometimes they think, oh shoot, well, that's easier than I thought. Maybe I could do that too.
Yeah. I think that's super important, guys, because it's that's sort of, and Morgan, if you want to share any more on this, I think one of the biggest questions that I get all the time is or let me rephrase that, how did you, meaning me, how did you start moving from just having challengers into attracting in coaches? And my answer to that always is because from the first interaction we had, they've seen me talking about coaching. So it's not, what happens a lot of times is, just like Morgan said, we're in the level 1 coaching and now we want to move on to level 2. And we have somebody complete a program and now we just drop this bomb on them that now there should be a new coach, and they haven't heard us talk about it. They haven't seen anything else. So yeah, I think it's important that the nurturing or breadcrumbs or whatever we want to call it, it actually happens from the first time they ever come across you, because they've seen this consistent message from you.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I think we have a couple more questions here. Thank you so much. So inspiring. Yes, recording. How do you get more people to participate and get talking in your bod groups? I find that our bigger Facebook group is way more active than my smaller groups.
I mean, run with whatever group you love. Like, it really doesn't matter, if I'm being honest. I made the transition from a Facebook group to a bod group at the start of this year. And it's been a learning process for me for sure. And like, I've always been one of those people that I really don't pay much. This might be a fault of mine too. I don't really pay much attention to the outcome. Even when I'm like sending invites or friend requests, like, I have no clue who ghosted me. I don't know who didn't accept my request. Like, I just don't ever pay attention to it. And kind of the same in my challenge group. I'm like, I'm going to show up and I don't really know if people are coming or not. Like, I've done team calls just for myself before. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll record and throw it up on YouTube. Like, I've never really worried about like the numbers or the people watching or that kind of thing. Cause I'm like, I'm going to show up anyways. Like, so for my bod group, what I found is the more I'm in it, the more I'm engaged, the more response I'm getting. So I've actually noticed this in the past month, because same thing, like, I'm like, bod group, people are getting used to it. But this past like week or two, I've been really committed to going in there for a couple minutes every single morning, commenting on other people's posts. If they're logging their workout, I comment, ask a question. Like, the more I'm in there, the more they're in there, kind of thing. So that's kind of how more engagement goes. But again, if I'm being honest, I'm not a person who needs a challenge group. I'm not. I'm going to get my workout done with or without anybody else. And that's how I've always been. I don't need extra accountability. Like, I'm a very self-motivated person. But I know other people need them. So that's why I've never worried, because I'm like, there's so many silent watchers. So I'm showing up for them too. So I haven't really cared if people comment or not, because I know a lot of people silently watch. So I don't really worry about it too much.
All right, you got time for a few more questions, Morgan?
Yeah, totally.
Right. I've been so close. This is from Brianna. I've been so close to hitting diamond so many times, then the wheels fall off and I'm starting from the bottom again. If there's any advice you can give to get over that hump.
Yeah, I mean, okay, this probably isn't the answer you want to hear, but okay. So the day I signed up to be a coach, I learned about this world called personal development, which I had never heard of, hated reading books, like, not my thing. But when I became a coach, they said to do it. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I fell in love with personal development. And I told myself, I'm like, if this is the one thing I get out of coaching, I feel successful. And everything after that was kind of like a bonus to me. So I would challenge you to kind of just step back and see like different successes that coaching has brought you. And I just kept telling myself, I'm like, hey, if I do my list that they tell me to do every day, like I know it's going to happen. And that's all I did. Like I still don't do anything fancy. I just trust like, hey, if I do this list every day, like my goals will happen. And there's going to be ebbs and flows right now. So last year, I think our team got up to be like an 11-star diamond team. Right now, these past 2 weeks, I think we're like a 5-star diamond team. And I could sit back and be like, starting from the bottom again, like, and trust me, I've had those moments. But then at the same time, I'm like, hey, look at all the good things coaching's brought me. Like, if I just keep showing up and doing what I do, like, it'll happen again. And that's kind of my perspective on it. And again, it's not like a obvious answer, but that's kind of how I see it.
I love that. All right. Haley has a question. You know Haley, right?
Yes. Yep. From our poster too.
Haley says, do you run coach sneak peeks?
Yeah, so these are like hit and miss for me. I've tried everything under the sun, and that's what I think people should do. Like over these 8 years, I've done sneak peeks in like a Facebook group. I've done kind of like live presentations, Instagram live videos. Lately, I've been teaming up with 2 of my coaches, and we've been doing kind of like a 21 questions about coaching. So I would say yes, kind of, but I wouldn't say that's like where I recruit coaches from. I think it's just an extra resource to share for people to come learn more. Like most of my conversion just happens in like DMs and conversations back and forth. It's usually a person who's been to a few sneak peeks. They've probably got a few invites from me. And then finally they're like, hey, I understand this. I want to do it. So sneak peeks to me are sometimes just like an extra resource, extra way for me to practice talking about coaching, extra opportunity for people to learn more. So I definitely think you should do all types of things, talk about your journey live on Instagram, do a sneak peek. Nothing, sometimes, people say, oh, that sneak peek didn't work. It's like, well, just because you didn't sign up a coach, like doesn't mean it didn't work. Like, I'm sure there were some silent watchers that came and learned a little more, right? So I'm kind of open to trying anything and everything. But yeah, I'm not like, I do a sneak peek every month and all my coaches come from that. I wish it worked like that.
I think that's everything. I want to, if anybody else has any other questions, jump in. I wanted to ask one question. So you had that quote in the end. I didn't write it down. Somebody else wrote it down though.
Yeah, I think so. Did.
You are dedicated, you are determined, you have the work ethic to build a business built with the utmost integrity and heart. And I was thinking, if I'm an Emerald coach and I have a lot of self-doubt, what would you say to me? So I am dedicated, I am determined, I have the work ethic, and I'm building with integrity and I'm building with heart. Mm-hmm. But if in anything I've done in my life, I have this critic, and it's loud, and I believe that critic, and maybe it's that I'm unworthy, maybe it's shame, maybe it's guilt, like it's a million, like we all have our different things, right? How do I proceed with my business when I don't think that I'm worthy, or I don't think that I can?
Mm-hmm. Man, that's a tough question. I mean, obviously, we all know personal development helps, but I'm just trying to think back to when I was an Emerald coach. And you want to know something funny? I think I have more self-doubt and critic now, 8 years in, than I did as an Emerald coach, like way more. thinking, am I worthy? Am I good enough? I'm like, oh my gosh, Morgs, you didn't feel this way when you were an Emerald coach. Like, why? But I'm working on it. Therapy's a beautiful thing. But anyways, when I was an Emerald coach, if I'm being honest again, I like being honest. As I know in the beginning, Keith said, I don't just check off boxes or go through the motions, but to be honest, in the beginning, I did, because I was a busy working person who was trying to fit this in the cracks. I didn't really know what it was or what the potential was. They just told me to do these things each day and trust that they would pay off. And I didn't think much further past that, if I'm being honest. I was just like, here's my list. I have an hour to do it. And then I have to close it till tomorrow at 5 a.m. So I was just like, check, close. I'll respond to you at 5 a.m. tomorrow again. And so I didn't have a ton of time to be self-critical or worry in the beginning. I think I was a little oblivious and again, didn't really know. But I did just not worry about the outcome at the start, if I'm being honest. I'm just like, do the things and it'll pay off in a few years. And that's kind of as far as I took it. And like I said, I'm probably more self-confident and critical of myself now than I was back then.
I think that's we'll end on that. If I think back to, like, if you look at one of Tony Robbins' sort of the quotes that he lives on, that he built his business on, was, if you're in your head, you're dead. Like, just, you have to show up and do the thing. My mentor in this business, Craig Holiday, used to always just say, action, action, action. Like, action's going to trump everything. And Jeff Hill, who used to be, he used to lead the direct marketing side, which is what we do. He used to lead that side of Beachbody. And I had the opportunity to go out to dinner with him one night when we were in, I forget where we were, Atlantis. And the question that I asked him was, what do you think is the one thing that prevents people from having success? And he calls it, it's the start that stops most people. And what he meant by that is, you have to do it when your mindset isn't there. You have to do it when you are depressed, when you are anxious, when you are feeling unworthy and all those things. And we just continue to show up even when we don't want to show up. So I appreciate this call. I appreciate your time. Morgan is how many months pregnant are you?
I am almost 22. We actually had our anatomy scan right before this call. So I'm like, feel everything went good. So I'm feeling good. I get out of breath when I talk a lot faster now, but.
You guys have to watch her work. I think Morgan works out harder at 22 months pregnant than I do in not being pregnant.
Like I said, the working out part is easy for me. But...
All right. Thank you so much, Morgan. I appreciate you. And yeah, can't wait to see the new baby.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Keith.
All right. Have a great night, everybody. I'll pop the recording up too.